Hi, this is Simon Moon from Simon Moon Music, and you're watching part 5 in my series of tutorials on how to produce music with Bitwig Studio. Today I want to talk about automation. We'll get to that in a minute, but first let's listen to what we've done up until now. Okay, in order to show you what automation does, I would like to introduce another bass instrument, and in order to do this, I make room a little bit in the beginning of the track, because this obviously doesn't make sense as a starting part of a track. And in order to have a little orientation in terms of what the groove actually is, I'm copying over the drum track as well, this little MIDI part. But okay, I don't think it makes sense to use the same groove here, so let's see what we can do to make this a little bit more interesting. First of all, I would like to find a different sound. Okay, good enough. And then copy this over. You do this by selecting whatever you want to copy, hold down Control, and move it to where you want it to be. If you only want to put it into another place, you simply click and drag. Okay, maybe give this, a little bit more swing. So I introduce ghost notes. Ghost notes are called ghost notes because they should be barely hearable, but you still can feel them on a very sublime level. So this is still too audible. Make this a bit softer. Okay, and then I use this before each hit of the sound, and then maybe have something in the end. And reduce the dominance of this first hit. Okay, I copy it over, duplicate it, so that we have all 8 bars filled. And now let's look for an interesting sound. I'm going to use FM4 again. And I'll just add some MIDI notes so that we can audition the sounds we're selecting. Okay, let me start offbeat again. You don't see this right now, but if you click the arrow buttons up and down, then you can nudge this MIDI event by semitones. Quite handy. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, just almost there. Dun, dun. Okay, another thing, maybe I use these only on every second bar. Sorry about the confusion. Okay, so can concentrate on the bass sound now, and I would like to find a sound that fits the genre a little bit better. And I know there is this, where is it? 304. Ah yes, and this is a sound that I made. It started out as an intention to make a 303 kind of sound, but obviously it turned out to be something completely different. And now the name is a bit misleading, but I think it works quite well. It's too loud. And you probably didn't hear what I just said. This sound was actually intended to be a 303 kind of sound, and then it turned out to become something totally different. But I think it still works in our context here. And now let me add a little bit more MIDI. To have something to play with, I simply copy this over and then add some variations. Like, for example, I could leave this the way it is, maybe make this a little longer, this note here, and then let me see. Da, da, da. Da, da. What happened? Okay. Oh, have to prolong our loop section. Duplicate this. Let's work on the second part, and in here I would like to start on the beat, not on the offbeat, because sometimes it's necessary to have bars where the groove actually starts on the beat. I mean, we have the kick drum, which is obviously on beat, but I think it makes sense to do this here as well. Let's listen to this. Okay, not like this, but maybe if I do it this way. We leave this as it is. Okay. So we now have two identical sections, bar 1 to 4 and bars 5 to 8. And since they are identical, it's a bit boring. Starts all over again. Well, and in order to make this more interesting, that's where automation comes in. And just to show you that real quick, automation means that I manipulate track parameters over time. And the parameters you can possibly manipulate are shown in this little drop-down menu here. And you can see there's tons of parameters to modify, although we only have a very limited amount of plugins in here. And just to show you what it does, it says mixer volume here. So that's easy to understand and easy to anticipate what's actually happening now. It's turning up and down the volume, and this doesn't make a lot of sense musically, but it shows quite well what we are doing here. If we change this to another parameter, let's say the MIDI command cc0, then we can do the same thing for this parameter. And now you see that the volume automation lane has gone, which I don't want to happen. And if you don't want this to happen, you click this little plus sign here, and then this automation lane gets fixed. And even if I change a different parameter in here, it doesn't make this lane go away anymore. Okay, but I don't want to manipulate volume, so I take this out of our list of automation lanes, and let's look for something more interesting. There is this pluck parameter in here, and let's see what happens if we start our track with this sound being extremely plucky. And you may have noticed that when I tweak this knob here, then what it says in this automation lane up here changed to pluck. So whatever you tweak here is being reflected on this heading lane of our automation lanes for this bass sound we just made. Okay, that's extremely handy because you don't want to look for these parameters in here. You might spend a very long time just looking for parameters. So I simply tweak this pluck knob and it appears here. Very handy. I click this plus sign so that I don't lose what I'm doing here from visibility. And we start out plucky, so this should be a very high value in the beginning. So let's see what this sounds like. I just finished this real quick. And then go crazy in the end, right before our 8-bar section ends. Okay, that already makes this little bass section extremely more interesting, but in order to increase this effect, let's manipulate some more parameters. Like this distortion amount here, it's this drive knob. I click this plus sign and now I can introduce distortion over time. And again, go a little crazy at the end of this 4th bar. Then reduce distortion again. Okay, so interesting enough. Then let's try the high pass here. Fix the lane and start with a very thin sound in the beginning. See if it works. Actually, I don't like this. Let's leave it like this. And then there's another interesting parameter here, reverb. And I would like to introduce a lot of reverb. Let's click the plus sign again at the end of each 4-bar section. Okay, so let's leave it at that. So here's what we've done. Balance the volume a little bit. So I close the automation lanes, and one little thing I would like to do is, especially in the beginning, this sound is extremely dry, and also when the reverb sets in. Well, of course it sounds roomy in a way, but it's a different kind of room when compared to the reverb we've created in order to place our instruments in the very same room. So what I would like to do now is, just like we've done with our other sounds, to add a little bit of room information to our new bass sound here. And we can do this two ways. The first is the one we've used before. Here's our 304 in our mixer view, and if I increase this knob here, then more and more of the dry signal gets sent into our reverb track here. But there's another way of doing this. We can simply double click the reverb track, and then you can see that there on the left side there are a couple of windows which can be used as sliders, and if I increase the slider here, it has the very exact same effect. So I'm adding reverb right now. Okay, so that should do. One other thing, our new instrument track is not part of a group at the moment, and initially I thought about putting this into our bass group, but you can see that, and especially here, that when I play high-pitched notes, then this is also a very interesting sound we might want to use later. And if I treat this sound like I would treat a bass sound, then it might lose its lead quality when I play high-pitched notes. And that's why I don't place this new instrument in our basses bus, but in our leads group. And then I can use plugins to create effects which work on our lead instruments that work just as well for this kind of sound when I play higher pitched notes. Okay. So I think this is it for today. Thanks for watching. If you like this, please follow me. And I hope to see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.